It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome to another episode of Ingram's Skin Sessions, another thought-provoking campaign that really does encourage brave conversations which are more than just skin deep. Now this week we're unpacking just that, a brand new topic called reclaiming your identity, taking it back.
Yes, I absolutely love this. Now, American author, activist and academic Bell Hooks wrote, "Beloved community is formed not by the eradication of difference, but by its affirmation, by each of us claiming the identities and cultural legacies that shape who we are and how we live in the world." Now, we all want to be recognized and celebrated for who we are, and that is regardless of how we look, who we love, and what we have, right? So joining us today to discuss the importance of embracing our heritage and reclaiming our identities are two absolutely beautiful faces that we all know and love. We're starting off with actress, writer, and performance poet Lebo Mashila and actress, presenter, and model Refilwe Modisele. How are you ladies doing this morning? Welcome to the studio!
That's a real dropping bell hooks. I heard that.
Listen, we have to hit you with the entire CV because it's not every day that we have two royalties, two queens that is joining us. I mean, Lebo, we go way back. We go since last year already. I mean, and I'll start with you, you're always in the spotlight. We see you everywhere. And you're always such a confident woman who embodies the statement that if you love the skin you're in, it will show in all aspects of your life, whether it be your hair, your weight, your skin tone. None of it should matter. But, I mean, the impact of media and society often prevails. What has been, in your words, has been the most profound way you have reclaimed and celebrated who you are, your identity?
I think the very thing that people criticize you for, the very thing that is contentious about your identity, often is the thing that is your gift, that is your specialness. It's what you bring to the world. And if you embrace that, then it can't be used as a weapon against you because you hold on to it as a gift, When I started out, I felt very lucky because the country was in this space of like a cultural revolution. So I could choose different versions of how to represent myself. There were people like Judith Sephuma and Winnie Mandela and Thandiswa and Simphiwe Dana. So I was like, okay, I bring something different to the table. Yes, my identity it doesn't fit into other people's boxes. Yes, there's nobody this size that I see working on mainstream television. Yes, I mean, poetry, it's always been such a big thing in certain parts of South Africa, but to bring it into the mainstream was a really new thing. And I was like, the things that these people have issues with, it's actually what makes me an asset in this space, and nobody can take them away from me. So if I celebrate them, I can decide what they are. I can decide what they represent, no matter what anybody says to me.
Oh, I absolutely love that mindset.
Wow.
Refilwe, maybe I can ask you this question. And for me, this is something that I think is so prominent, especially when it comes to children that are loved at home. They seem to gain this confidence that they can literally conquer the world and any hardship that comes their way. But for you, you were fortunate enough to also receive love and affirmation in your home environment. How has this personally impacted you, and how has it associated and assisted you in helping you navigate society so bravely?
I think what people forget is that your home is your foundation for the type of person that you become. A lot of what we learn comes from this environment that introduces us to the rest of the world. And self-love being instilled in a person, where a lot of people don't often get that, is part of the reason that made me strong and made me the person that I am. And in understanding that I didn't need validation from outside, whether the rest of the world had so much to say about how I looked. I mean, I got called named, but here you are, knowing your self-worth and your self-love because of the foundation that you come from, which is very crucial in terms of bringing your strength and you understanding your own identity and forming your own understanding of self before somebody else puts you in a box. So that for me, has been instrumental in making me understand myself as Refilwe, my identity as Refilwe, understanding my blackness as Refilwe outside of course, the skin tone.
And we celebrate you. And maybe there's a question for both of you ladies. With unrestricted access to the internet and social media, there's more awareness and also understanding and even interest surrounding various cultures, skin tones and conditions. Do you view social media as a platform that has maybe provided education to those who lack understanding regarding these aspects of our identities?
You know, we live in an era now where there are dark-skinned women being celebrated for being chocolate, where women like Refilwe, who are living with albinism, can also be celebrated for their beautiful skin, you know, in all of its like permutations. Whatever identity issue that you are struggling with social media now, if you're looking for positive representations, you can find them. I think if I was growing up now, a lot of the issues that I struggled with, I think they would be much less because I would have more examples to choose from. But at the same time, the very same social media is also an oppressive space. The very same social media also celebrates only certain kinds of bodies. Even within that spectrum, there are certain people who get celebrated. You have to conform to certain standards. And I think there's a lot more visual pressure on people than ever before because we're constantly being surrounded by images. I mean, my generation grew up with TV, magazines, newspapers, you know, but this idea that you can be marketed at, you can be exposed to hundreds of images while you're in bed, you know, like surgery is commonplace now. It never was before, and I don't have a particular issue with surgery, but forcing everybody to look a particular way that most human beings are not born looking like, in order to be loved and seen as beautiful, I think that is very harmful. So, but I think that if we are able to empower young people with positive affirmation and, you know, and support and confidence, you know, like what Refilwe was talking about, then within this crazy landscape, we can show young people that there are alternatives and inspire them to lean towards the images that are most affirming. So social media is a spectrum, you know, and we're still learning about it. I mean, these platforms are only a decade old, you know, so there's still so much that we're learning about ourselves and how social media plays into our own addictive tendencies and how it's programming us. In 20 years, I think we'll have a very different understanding of the choices that we're making right now.
I think I'm a generation after Lebo.
yeah, I'm 42. Yeah.
So I think I've had to understand the importance of speaking in a language that can relate to the current, you know, age group and generation. It's given us the platform or the space to be able to reach in spaces where it is that maybe television necessarily would not. So social media for me is important in terms of being able to communicate that awareness of who I am through that. I think also just being strategic in how it is that we use social media. Yes, it can make and break, but I think the unfortunate part is that we are moving in a direction where it plays such a huge role. If you look at a lot of the campaigns that are done, social media is where everything is headed at. But also, I think with us is understanding also the sensitivity behind the fact that it really can make and break people. So for me personally, I use it, yes, in a very big way. It's hard because now we are trying to play catch up, which is a big task. But I mean, nonetheless, we are doing it.
I think from both of your sides of the conversation, you're drawing such a great polarity and showcasing so much in terms of the differences that we're going through when it comes to all the generations that are currently living together right now. Refil, I wanted to speak more practically about some of the circumstances that you maybe have had to go to, because for you, someone that I'm sure has had experience of walking into situations and physically feeling like you maybe are different, like you mentioned, or having eyes on you, what was that experience life to firstly navigate, and at the same time seeing you now and how you glow? You've clearly learned so much from the experience. What exactly is it that you've taken from it?
Listen, my journey is a never-ending story of consistently teaching people to be able to acknowledge my blackness. I think one of the things that I've used in my life and in my space is to be able to get people out of, you know, the stereotypical aspect of what it is that they were taught. I sometimes feel like God was kind of bringing a lesson to people to say, hey, you know, let's respect each other for who we are and the capabilities that we have as people and what it is that we can impart in the next person. So I've had to navigate through that in being strong and consistently teaching people that, you know, just because I'm in the skin tone doesn't take away my blackness. My blackness is my heritage. and who I am. And that is something that I stand very firm on. And one of the platforms that I also use, to be able to teach is to be able to infiltrate in spaces where it is we're not given opportunities, like in the film space. Half the time you find that there's a brief that says a black girl, but really doesn't look like it. But she's like, look, I'm here. Acknowledge me for who I am.
I love that, and I love both of you. You know why? Because you're both so proud to talk about your cultural heritage and how it has really just shaped your perspectives. Maybe in closing, for both of you, what parts of your culture do you believe are still so relevant to you today, and what would you like to reimagine?
Definitely my spirituality, my ancestry, the work that I have to do to teach my children to be able to connect with our culture, our heritage, our history. The people that we come from have been through so much. The best of who they are is the source of my gifts, my talent, my inspiration. The worst of who they are is also represents the pain that I carry inside of me, the suffering that they've been through, the wounds that still need to be healed. I am a journey in my ancestors' evolution. My children are another step in that journey in their evolution. You know what I mean? Their children will be another step, So time is a progressive thing, and each layer, each level adds its own flavor. And just because there is hurt and pain and woundedness, it doesn't take away from the magic. The oppression shows us the dark spots. They show us where we still need to do the work.
I'd like to reimagine a world where it is that we don't pick which box we need to tick in order for ourselves to be validated or to be taken seriously. I'd like to reimagine a world where it is that we value ourselves as well, and understand our power just as a people, and especially, as a Black people. So for me, I'd just like to reimagine a world where it is that we have a sense of acceptance all across the board for who we are just as humanity.
I can't help but smile every single time. Like I did say, we are in the house with royalties. Ladies, thank you so much for your time this morning and just for connecting us with this very much needed conversation that we need to have, and also just opening up this conversations for people and creating this platform for people to speak about this.
It's been an absolute pleasure. What a gift. Thank you so much.
It's been amazing. Thank you so much. And such necessary conversations. Thank you so much, Espresso, for, going the mile to have this. Is very important.
What an invigorating and pertinent conversation. Now, when it comes to reclaiming your identity, it's not only about the skin that you're in and your heritage, but it's also a culmination of all the things that make you, you. Now, that's your talents, your strengths, your goals, and your loves. Now, let's embrace our identities by wearing our skin bravely and celebrating it with pride.
Now, of course, you can join in on the brave conversation and tell us, how do you celebrate your heritage? Reply with your answer to the competition post on the Expresso Facebook, Twitter or Instagram page, and include that hashtag #YourSkinYourBrave to stand a chance to win a 1,000 Rand voucher with Ingram's. And remember, those T's and C's can be found on our website, expressoshow.com.
Nourish your skin with Ingram's Moisture Plus, enriched with triple glycerine. For 48-hour intensive moisture. Ingram's, your skin, your brave.